Hey, I need to talk to you for a minute.
And I've got to talk to you, Chris. Could there not have been a shortcut of 15 points you could have made so we could have had our upgrade last episode? No? Okay.
It looks like we're falling behind upgrade-wise. I really need you to push harder with development. Push harder with development. Push harder with development.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know.
Look at the report. I've got to get ready for a debrief.
Oh yeah, no, you better pop off that debrief, Chris. Plenty to talk about in that debrief. Thanks a lot, Chris. Always love your work. Goodbye now. Bye. Cheers. Thanks for nothing. What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 46 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 3. And you can see we've started off with an R&D update from our best pal, Chris. Force India have overtaken us once again, or re-overtaken us from Spain to Monaco here. They brought some upgrades, clearly, and they've shot up to nearly almost match Williams, and basically they've got the same gap to Williams as we had to them at the very start of the season. You can see we were just about behind them. Then we actually upgraded that drag reduction upgrade for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We purchased that at the Bahrain Grand Prix, installed for Russia, and you can see we got ahead of them for only 2 races, and now we're back behind them. So unfortunate there, and frustrating really, as we're unable to leapfrog both these teams. Williams upgraded from Bahrain, and looks like they did 2 upgrades in one go, because at Russia they really made a step up there and really jumped up, and it kind of shows why at Russia Massa was so strong. And I think, if I remember correctly, he got a podium there only 2 days ago, but that's how bad my memory is. So yeah, you can see why he performed so well at Russia with a huge step up there. Unfortunate and frustrating, as I said, to not be able to get away from the midfield, because really, honestly, I'm only looking at Red Bull. Obviously, in the constructors, points-wise, we're looking at that, but obviously that R&D chart does not factor in the AI performance of, you know, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Felipe Massa, and Lance Stroll. Of course, Massa, whilst he's getting podiums, Lance Stroll is definitely not, and so that kind of balances out for Williams not doing too well in the constructors. Meanwhile, though, I would say actually Force India doing pretty damn decent in Season 3 so far, you would say. They look like, you know, they're kind of with us, maybe trying to challenge Red Bull almost. Like at the very start of the season, with Verstappen and Ricciardo starting so poorly, they kind of looked like they were maybe going to scare Red Bull in the constructors for like the brief first 2 rounds of this season, but obviously now things have settled down a little bit. So we went through the practice programs as per usual, got near maximum points there, and obviously we're working towards getting over 1,500 points. We were 15 off, so technically we could buy the upgrade right now before qualifying, but I'm going to wait till the end of the episode just to see how many points we get, because you never know, maybe there's going to be another way to go about it. I don't want to kind of just have my mind set on one upgrade from 2 episodes ago and then just stick to my guns and be a little bit ignorant. So I want to try and see maybe what our points tally is. We could go over the 2,000 mark, so you never know what that could open up in terms of 2 minor upgrades versus the major. I'm still not too sure what ends up being better, but anyway, whilst I've been talking about that, we've been doing our Q1 lap times, and actually our lap times, because we did 2 timed laps. Our first one wasn't that great, our second one was, and we get into P7 there in Q1. Nico Hulkenberg also making it through. Unfortunately though, when we start Q2, we have a braking issue, and we have to be stalled for nearly 8 minutes, that is. So that's quite a bit of time in Q2 really, so that's only going to leave us pretty much enough time, probably only to get 1 flying lap in. We may be able to squeeze in a second, maybe, just about, but we'll see. But that's the first kind of issue we've had in qualifying since, I would say, I think the Hungarian Grand Prix of Season 2, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the last time we had that, and that was a fuel issue. This time it was a braking issue, which was kind of odd. And you can see I did set my first flying lap, and I tried to go for a second, and we run out of time, so quite awkwardly my car just about makes it into the pit lane, then gets teleported to the main straight as I finish the session off. But it doesn't actually matter because we actually ended up setting a good enough lap time to get into the top 10 shootout in P5 there. So really positive signs there. We only need 1 lap, so the pressure was on, and when we didn't bottle it under pressure, and we made it into the top 10 shootout, and that means we can now try and set a good Q3 lap time to get us up the order at the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, probably the most important place to have a good qualifying Monaco. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult to overtake cars tomorrow at Sunday, so we set our first flying lap there. It wasn't amazing. You can see P9 at the moment behind Nico Hulkenberg as the sun starts to peek out over the clouds there on the left-hand side of this circuit. We come across the line for a second flying lap, and that is going to get us up into what will only be P8, so an improvement of 1 place, and we leapfrog Nico Hulkenberg. But you can see behind behind Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Perez doing a fabulous job to leapfrog Max Verstappen, and Ricciardo as well to get ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Raikkonen bottling a little bit, where his teammate Sebastian Vettel gets pole position. So, Kimi's had, 3 retirements now, 4 strings of bad luck, and now he's not qualified too well for the Monaco Grand Prix. He's qualified behind a Red Bull car, which he should be comfortably out qualifying. So, question marks all around for Kimi Raikkonen as of late, and you can clearly see the Force India upgrade this weekend is working well, with Perez out qualifying Verstappen as well. So, kind of iffy question marks for 2 drivers there in a sense. So, P8 for us, not amazing, a little bit disappointed with that, but we'll just try and see how we can do. Hopefully we can get another great start like we did at the Russian Grand Prix, and then we'll just have to see. It is Monaco, so it's going to be very, very tough to overtake, but as always, us, we'll try our best, and let's get into the full grid then, and then get to the race.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen and Perez, Verstappen and Renault, Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon, Massa, Sainz, Daniel Kvyat and Grosjean, Alonso, Van Dorn, Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson. Stroll and Kevin Magnussen rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So P8 here behind the 2 Red Bull cars on the grid, meaning we're going to have to hope to overtake them on track during the race, which is easier said than done. No rain to maybe aid us in that or aid any strategy. It's going to be a one-stop, ultra-soft to super-soft tyres. So the only thing we're going to change here is the fuel. We're going to fuel up a little bit more like we have done. Not too much though, because we don't need a lot of rich mix around Monaco. Obviously, a lot of the time we won't want to be in rich mix, as that will really spin up the rear tyres and make things difficult for us for the tyre wear. But either way, let's go to 5 red lights then to the Monaco Grand Prix. Round number 6 of Season 3. 4 lights are out and we're underway, and it is a good start for us compared to Max Verstappen. Perez with a good start as well, and he's going to try and overtake Daniel Ricciardo. We dart down the inside, they'll lock up on the left front tyre. A little bit of contact there with Perez's side pod, but we dive down the inside and we've got it up into P6 now. So we got Verstappen cleanly just on the exit of our 5 red lights, and then we got Perez there. Very, very close stuff, and so that's a great start for us. We've not got the both Red Bulls, but we've at least got 1 Red Bull, and we can see Ricciardo was unable to overtake Kimi Raikkonen, so that's good for us, which means we can now stare at the back of this Red Bull car and actually indeed get right up his gearbox as we go through the hairpin. And so now it's a case of, well, basically praying a little bit and seeing and being patient and sussing out when a move can be made here. But we move on to lap 5 now, so 5 laps later, and we're still behind Ricciardo, and you can guess it, the pecking order has not changed since lap 1 of this race after turn 1. Classic Monaco at the moment, as we all have DRS off one another. You can see Ricciardo's rear flap open, my rear flap is open. We're setting a green lap time, so I'm going to guess that everyone is also setting green lap time. So at the moment, it's all kind of stagnant, with Perez still behind us, doing a decent job to stay ahead of Max Verstappen, so showing those Force India upgrades working very well. We move on to lap 7 then, 2 laps later, getting a little bit closer to Ricciardo visually through turn 1, a little bit closer. We did get a bit of oversteer, but then through into Casino, getting a bit more fourth gear, getting as close as we dare to the walls as we can, really getting on the power a little bit early. Again, snap of oversteer, but we control the car okay. Lock up on this on the right front tyre, very easy to do on that right hander, as in real life the cars actually kind of tilt a little bit, and that right tyre can sometimes come off the ground completely and have some ground clearance. And you can see going over the little tarmac road on the right hand side as we go towards the tunnel. At the tunnel though, losing a bit of traction, so we get away and Ricciardo gets away from us a little bit. So at the moment, frustrating stuff, and it's by the time we move on to lap 10, Ricciardo is starting to get away from us. We've got DRS, but through the final corner, you can see there pulling away from us quite a bit. I don't know if he's using rich mix. We are not at the moment. And we've got also our components on our engine wearing a tad, but by the time we get to lap 12, it's not our engine really, it's our tyres, honestly. Our rear tyres are getting very worn out, and at this stage I'm losing so much time now sector to sector that I think it may be time for a bold call and coming in 2 laps earlier, nay, even like 4 laps earlier really. I think the default's lap 16, so 4 laps earlier we're going to come in for our one and only pit stop in this Grand Prix for the set of Super Soft. So this is a gamble for sure, because it means our tyres will be 4 laps older shoulder by the end of the Grand Prix, and that could be really quite trouble. But my thinking is here, from the amount of pace I'm losing every single sector on those last 2 laps from lap 10 to lap 12, I think this may be worth it. You're going to see as we come out there, Alonso is the only car ahead of us. We've got a lot of clean air apart from this McLaren Honda. And so here's hoping this turns out to be the strategic masterclass. I'm praying it needs to be, and I guess we'll find that out in the next few laps as we move later into this same out lap, lap 13. And we're closing right up to Fernando Alonso through the final corners. We've got DRS activated here down the main straight. Of course, the McLaren still very much the second slowest team in this career mode, so no surprise we've caught up very rapidly indeed to him. And through turn 1, the grip levels are so much better than those worn Ultra Softs. You can see visually no squirming around on the exit as well with oversteer. Rich mix momentarily up the hill, then back to standard because we don't have too much to play with, and I don't need it here. We don't need the rich mix, we just need the traction from standard mixture, and gaining a lot here on Alonso. We're going to dive it down the inside, and we're going to make a bold move there, and that is a move that we need to make because we can't get held up, basically. You know, that was a very late call, but last minute I thought, you know what, if we're going to make this strategy work, I need to go for moves like that, and so I just went for it, and Alonso thankfully did give me the room. And the same can be said on this move on Lance Stroll. We're getting kind of frustrated behind him, so we dive it down the inside of him on the inside of that right-hander, and just before the tunnel managed to get him, and then later on that same lap, swinging through on Romain Grosjean, my famous Rascas pass. He completely didn't know what was coming there on the last few corners of lap 15. We had to leave him some room on the left as we had a bit of oversteer, but we made it work up into Rich Mix then on the next main straight. As we can see, Daniel Ricciardo, there he is coming out the pits, and we have jumped Daniel Ricciardo, so we are successfully ahead of both Red Bull cars, and that masterclass strategy has actually panned out, and so much so that Ricciardo is now behind Grosjean, and I believe maybe even that McLaren Honda or Lance Stroll, so that is absolutely great for us there. So we were well and truly ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Now we send it down the inside of Danny Kvyat. We catch him napping there. He was actually held up by Sainz and Kimi Raikkonen. Kvyat then comes back at me. He's gone down the inside of Sainz. He's pushed him into the wall. There's been contact there between the 2 Toro Rosso cars. Absolutely crazy scenes here as they go toe to toe. So I thought I was the one who was going to have a little fight with Kvyat, but no, it's actually Kvyat on Sainz. And this is actually crazy to witness as we're just stuck here now. I can't make a move and make it 3 wide here in Monaco, going down past the tunnel, and these 2 are still scrapping away. I'm trying to hustle and harry to the left and right, unable to make the move. Eventually though, left hand side, down the inside, very close stuff there to Sainz, as I think Sainz tapped the wall, and we just about squeezed by with no contact made on the Spaniard. And now we're right up the chuff of Danny Kvyat there, and as my teammates in the pit, Danny Kvyat is also going to come into the pit, and so we make the double overtake eventually on the Toro Rosso boys. But that was very enthralling after a first stint really of kind of, you know, pedestrian-like kind of, you know, just single file at Monaco, classic Monaco. It's all fired up here from lap 16 to lap 17 there. That was crazy to witness, the 2 Toro Rosso cars going so hard and fast at one another, especially after initially I was the one making the move on the rush-in, and then he goes and sticks it down the inside of Sainz, this very hairpin we're coming up to on lap 24 now. Many laps later, you can see we're in P5 now after we've obviously made that pass from Ricciardo with the strategy, and now after those laps have gone by and everyone else, the midfield cars have kind of come to the pits, it's now a case of me struggling a little bit to keep up with the pace. Obviously there's no way I'm catching the Ferrari guys on pure pace around Monaco, so it's really a case of just parking the bus and trying to hold Ricciardo back. You can see in the mirrors he's getting up on the left hand side, and we're just strategically placing our car in the middle of the circuit to try and stop any attack in the casino square. And as we move through on the right hander, yellow flags called out in the entire circuit. DRS disabled. Lance Stroll is out of the Monaco Grand Prix, and the full safety car has been called out, so this may help us quite a bit. Not only will we bunch up to the cars ahead of us, so you never know, on the restart, if we're good enough, we could have a chance to maybe jump Ferrari or Mercedes. I mean, I'm not kind of banking on it, but we'll see. But what that crucially is going to mean, it just gives us 3 laps of kind of respite, and for us to kind of just breathe a little as we're getting hampered pretty much for, you know, 10 laps there by Ricciardo. And you can see why Lance Stroll's out of this Grand Prix, just a failure for him on the car, and he's out and parked up in a very awkward place in the last corner, so that's why the safety car got called out. And then actually a second guy out of this race is Romain Grosjean with a rear right puncher, that is, if you didn't see that. And then moving into a replay under the safety car, this is Lewis Hamilton ahead of Kimi Raikkonen at the moment. Sebastian Vettel's led from start to now of this Grand Prix, but there is Grosjean in the wall, and Hamilton has just smashed into the Frenchman, and he's got a damaged front wing there. Very odd situation. Let's look at another replay and an angle of this on board of Hamilton. Oh, what the? He hits the wall on the right, then kind of does a bit of ping pong, really, and just kind of bounces to the left, where we saw Grosjean parked up there in the same place that Kimi Raikkonen was parked up in 16, I want to say. I think he got parked up in that same place in the intermediate conditions, I think, if I remember correctly. And Kimi got a good view of that. And because of that, Hamilton, you can see clearly, has come in. So after that collision with Grosjean, him and the team feeling the need to change the front wing, there was definitely a lot of damage there. I think both sides of the end plate were broken off. So he's coming for a new wing, new set of tyres, super softs there. But he, because of that, under the safety car, he comes out behind both of the Red Bull cars and one of the Force Indias. So Hamilton losing 3, 4, 5 positions, in fact, and we jump up 1. We're up into P4 now. Raikkonen, well, we're staring in the back of him. We would have been doing that anyway, but now he's jumped up into P3, and it's a double podium for Ferrari. As I said, Vettel leading this race all the way up till now, lap 31, so he's only got 8 laps left to get this job done. He's been pretty dominant around Monaco so far in this race, and so on the restart now, as I mentioned, I was saying there may be a chance to jump Raikkonen. Definitely not the case. We haven't got a great exit, but down the inside to turn 1, Raikkonen goes side by side with Haas, who's being lapped there, as well as Stoffel Van Dorn, and that's put off Raikkonen as we climb up the hill. There's been some contact though with McLaren. Oh, I think that was touching us, our rear right tyre, and the McLaren has a wheel off there. There's been some damage. I think yellow flags are out in that section. Let's look at a replay then. Oh, that is very, very unlucky for Stoffel Van Dorn. I feel like that's just completely a racing incident on my part. I was just chasing after Raikkonen, and I'm putting my hands up there. I didn't mean to smash his wheel off. Very, very unfortunate for Van Dorn's left front tyre to be taken off like that. But even more so unlucky for Sergio Perez, who was doing such a great job in that Grand Prix to still be ahead of Max Verstappen, and he was out of the Grand Prix with after making some contact with Stoffel. So plenty of drivers not getting the rub of the green, including, remember, Hamilton just earlier, and also you could say Grosjean and Stroll equally so with the puncher, and then car failure. As we move on to lap 34 now, from lap 33, you can see the gap has increased even more to Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas. So unfortunately, as much as I would like to maybe chase after them, they're just too fast for us, and we're kind of looking behind us to see where Daniel Ricciardo is in all of this. You can see in the minimap he is closing. Yellow flags are... Oh, Kimi Raikkonen is sideways at Casino Square. This is unbelievable scenes. We've locked up on the right tyre, and we're up into P3 now, but I almost got spooked into the wall at Mirabeau, but that's crazy. Kimi Raikkonen completely sideways at such a crucial point in the circuit. I think I was millimeters away from smashing into his rear, and he wasn't even with Bottas. He just lost the rear and he just dropped it. Kimi Raikkonen, veteran of Formula 1, just drops it under what looked like a bit of acceleration and braking and change of direction, and he thankfully hasn't reversed into the Red Bull guys, just about manages to pull the car away to be behind the Force India. But let's look at an onboard shot now, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, he just loses it by himself under acceleration going through the left-hander. And then as he changes direction to the right, he's already hit the wall by then. And you can see now struggling to get the car turned around, obviously pausing for a second as the cars go by and as the Force India comes by. Very, very close stuff there with the Force India, but we also got very, very close to his rear. So if I hadn't have actually spotted him and my car was naturally going wide there, that could have been a really, really bad accident for us as well. So again, getting a little bit lucky in this Grand Prix once again to not hit his rear end, and a bit more bad luck for, just drivers in general in this Grand Prix. But remember, Raikkonen now, that'll be his fifth in a row bit of bad luck in this season so far. He cannot catch a break, as now we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. We've been doing the job at defending from Hamilton. You saw there previously, he tried to get us up the hill, strategically placing our car in the middle, and we've got Rich Mix as we come across the line to finish up in what is a brilliant podium here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel is the master of Monaco, though, for Season 3 of this career mode. He's absolutely won it in a dominant fashion. I think from start to finish, he's been been leading this Grand Prix. So fabulous job for the German there to also solidify his challenge to try and chase after Hamilton. After Hamilton, obviously with those 2 wins to start off this season, Vettel's been the only guy really who's looked to be consistently trying to chase him down in the points. I believe Vettel will be significantly closer. I think about 13 points or so it'll be now between him and Hamilton for the championship. But you can see there, P3 us. It's a good day for us. I think our first podium at Monaco, which is surprising really, because in the past Monaco has pretty much been the guaranteed place where the AI are generally slower. But even the Ferrari and Mercedes, that's just how far they are ahead of the rest of us, that I haven't been able to get lucky and try, kind of, even get a surprise win like pretty much has been guaranteed for the last few F1 games from Codemasters at Monaco. So our first podium there for Monaco, a pretty hectic race to get that one. Lots of stuff happened in a short space of time, and it does mean that after that result we do overtake Red Bull, re-overtake them for the Constructors' third place there, and so that battle continues on and it's firing away. But you can see Force India, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, they're not too far off. You would like to say maybe if Red Bull get a little bit unlucky or continue to get unlucky like they have done so far, maybe Force India could ruffle their feathers if they continue to upgrade at the rate they are. And so speaking about upgrades, as we go through the final little reputation shots, obviously before qualifying even commenced, I said we had enough points for that major drag reduction upgrade. You can see we on the top right, we do have 2,000 points here. So we've got a lot of points to play with, 500 extra after we buy this drag reduction update. Now, I bought it in this recording. You can see at the end of this episode, we have purchased that update. But if I back out of this screen, the game doesn't actually save that upgrade before I go to the next race weekend. So it's not confirmed fully yet, because I'm curious to know what you guys think. Maybe if some of you guys maybe have other suggestions for what upgrades I should do, because now I've got 2,000 points. So I've got quite a bit to play with. And remember, now on my chassis tree, the minor parts only cost 900 and the majors cost 1,350. So I don't know. I can't really say at this stage of the game yet even what is going to be better, 2 minors or 1 major like the drag reduction upgrade. So although I did purchase it, you could see there, because I'm not going to go to the next race weekend yet until I upload this video, I will be able to change my mind perhaps. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you generally don't think I should maybe be doing that drag reduction upgrade. But you can see there, I tried to look at changing the gearbox. That will be done next race, but I have got 6 out of 6, so good there. The gearbox reliability upgrade we did in Season 2 working well, and everything else is looking okay for now on the engine side, apart from a few little yellow components. But of course, we're already to 6 Grand Prix, so that's all good in terms of the component kind of divvying up, if you will. So I think everything's going quite swimmingly, apart from the R&D perhaps is just not as fast as I was hoping for really at the moment at this stage, obviously with Chris at the beginning. But either way, guys, that was a really, really crazy and great Monaco Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been over. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.